Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I just recently watched Joker 2 Folie à Deux with Lady Gaga, and it got me thinking about a bunch of what if scenarios, but not regarding the second one. Don't worry, there's not going to be any spoilers. More so the first one. I'd put in a list of what if scenarios such as what if Thomas Wayne acknowledged Archer as his son, or what if Archer had embraced the Joker persona earlier, what if the Joker persona didn't inspire such chaos, and so on. But it got me thinking about one particular detail because I had to rewatch the first movie in order to do this video. And I ended up going with the following. Shocker, you can see it in the title. What if Sophie actually loved Archer? So in Joker 2019, one of the key reveals is that Archer's relationship with Sophie, his neighbor, is all in his head, which is a heartbreaking delusion. But what if it wasn't? What if Sophie had genuinely been there for him? The small change could potentially lead to much bigger shifts in Archer's life. Let's dive into it. One of the most striking elements of Arthur Fleck's descent into madness in Joker 2019 is his overwhelming sense of isolation and rejection. Throughout the film, Arthur is ignored, bullied, and eventually cast aside by nearly everyone he encounters, including his idol and his mother. Sophie, in Arthur's mind, was his one escape from the cruelty of Gotham, a fantasy of love and connection that temporarily provided him relief. But what if Sophie's affection was indeed real? If Sophie genuinely cared for Arthur, he wouldn't feel alone. Instead of imagining moments of connection with her, he would experience them. Arthur's interactions with her could have served as a form of emotional validation that he so desperately craved. She might have been a stabilizing force in his life, someone who saw him as more than a faceless outcast in a city that chews people up and spits them out. This emotional support could lead to Arthur finding a sense of worth which he never had before. The constant need to prove himself to others might diminish, allowing him to seek help for his mental health. In this alternate timeline, we might see Arthur grappling with his mental illness in a more balanced way. With Sophie's love, he could have had therapy, or at the very least, delayed his break from reality. He might continue working on ha-has, or even take smaller steps towards his dream of becoming a stand-up comedian without the bitterness and rage that fueled his darker tendencies. Arthur's path to violence in the film is catalyzed by a number of personal traumas and societal neglects. But with Sophie's love and genuine connection, Arthur might not have felt the same level of alienation. His feeling of being ignored by the world, embodied in the infamous "you get what you effing deserve" line, was a key motivator for his violent outbursts. If Sophie stood by him, that intense frustration might have never built up to the point of killing 3 men on a subway or even Murray Franklin. Sophie's presence could act as a counterbalance to the cruelty he faces in his day-to-day life. While the city would remain a harsh, unforgiving place, Sophie could provide him a reason not to retaliate against it. Instead of turning to violence to express his anger, Arthur might channel his frustrations into something else. This doesn't mean all his problems would disappear, but the boiling point that led to his transformation into Joker might have been avoided or at least delayed. One of the key catalysts of Arthur's break from reality was discovering the truth about his mother, Penny, and his childhood abuse. In the original story, Penny's revelation leaves Arthur feeling utterly betrayed, not just by his mother, but by the world at large. This revelation, combined with his loneliness, pushes him toward an increasingly dangerous mental state. But with Sophie in his life, Arthur might have someone to turn to for comfort and stability during this traumatic discovery. Instead of spiraling into despair after confronting his mother, Arthur might confide in Sophie. Her support could soften the emotional blow of learning about his past. This connection might prevent Arthur from ultimately killing Penny, further degrading or altering his eventual transformation into Joker. Sophie might also encourage Arthur to seek real help or even accompany him on a journey of self-discovery, one that doesn't involve violence. This would mark a significant departure from the original film's arc, where Arthur's discovery about his mother serves as the final nail in the coffin of his humanity. But here's where things get interesting. Would Arthur still become the Joker if Sophie truly loved him? Would he need to? The Joker persona emerges as a form of rebellion, a reaction to a lifetime of neglect, abuse, and isolation. If Sophie was a genuine force of love in Arthur's life, it's possible he wouldn't need to become the Joker. He wouldn't need to create an alter ego to deal with his pain. In fact, Sophie's presence might have kept him grounded in reality, reducing the likelihood of his violent alter ego taking control. On the flip side, it's possible that Arthur's transformation into Joker is inevitable, regardless of Sophie's love. If Arthur's mental illness is severe enough, even Sophie's support might not be enough to prevent his descent into madness. But instead of a violent and public transformation, we might see a quieter, more tragic breakdown. Perhaps Arthur would distance himself from Sophie out of fear of harming her, leading to a slower, more subtle version of his Joker persona. Arthur's transformation into Joker isn't just a personal journey. It also has massive political affirmations in the city. His public execution of Murray Franklin on live TV sparks a citywide riot. In the alternate timeline where Sophie loves Arthur, this might never happen. Without the public murder, the riots might still occur due to the socio-economic inequalities present in the city, but they might be less chaotic. Instead of Arthur becoming the figurehead of the chaos, he might become a tragic figure, a man who found love too late and was too broken to fully heal. Now, the relationship between Arthur and Thomas Wayne is another wild card in this scenario. If Sophie is a stabilizing force in Arthur's life, he might approach Thomas Wayne differently. Instead of confronting him with anger and resentment, Arthur might seek answers in a more rational way. Sophie could encourage him to seek out the truth about his past without resorting to violence. This alternate path might lead to Arthur discovering the truth about his father in a more controlled way, preventing the breakdown that leads to his eventual confrontation with Thomas Wayne. Arthur could still learn that Thomas Wayne is in fact his father, or not, but with Sophie by his side, the revelation might not trigger the same level of emotional destruction. Lastly, Sophie's love might offer Arthur something that he never had in the original timeline, which is hope. In the original film, Arthur's delusions are a byproduct of his lack of love and connection. With Sophie in his life, those delusions might unravel slowly. Instead of falling deeper into his own mind, Arthur might face the reality of his situation with some support. In this alternate reality, Arthur's story would still be tragic, but it would be a different kind of tragedy. Instead of descending into madness and violence, Arthur might struggle with his mental illness in a slightly different way. Sophie's love could delay and prevent his transformation into Joker, but it wouldn't necessarily fix all of his problems. The love between them could be the very thing that keeps Arthur from becoming a symbol of chaos in the city, but it might also trap him in a more personal tragedy. One where he's still broken but not completely lost, to the point of reaching the madness of the Joker. That was it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you want me to touch on other what-if scenarios regarding the Joker 2019, or if you want me to do another what-if scenarios with the new movie that's just come out with Lady Gaga. And as usual, let me know what you think. If you think I missed out on anything, if you think things would have played out completely differently, let me know in the comments. Until then, I'll see you in my next video.